Hi, I'm Caleb, and I'm going to be pitching the Instigator today. Just wanted to let you know why I'm wearing this bow tie. I partner with an organization called Dressember. So every day this month, I'm going to be wearing a bow tie or a regular tie to raise awareness of human trafficking. So if that's an issue that you find, you know, awful, please join me in donating at www.dressember.org. Now, on for the presentation, now that that preamble is out of the way. So my show is The Instigator. When your job is changing the narrative starts changing you. This is an hour-long political drama about a family man who becomes a major player in the burgeoning world of reactionary conservative media to help his family recover from his crippling gambling addiction. But he realizes that if he takes advantage of his position, he can do so much more. So the world's a nightmare right now, and it's not showing any signs of getting better. But I'm one of those people that's constantly on Twitter, constantly getting frustrated at what I see there. I think one of the things that bugs me the most is seeing people with some of the worst opinions I've ever heard be incredibly successful. How can people like Steven Crowder and Tucker Carlson trend for saying terrible things, but still have a consistent viewer base? I think they've tapped into something incredibly important to take note of. They don't necessarily care about the views that they're espousing, so much as every controversy they become embroiled in allows them to become a still living martyr and demonize their enemies further. What would happen if a normal, decent man was to learn this secret and tap into it in a world where that sort of journalism just didn't exist yet? Jason Chapman is a smarmy, well put together, charismatic white man. He's attractive in an almost comforting way. He's deeply insecure, but projects incredible confidence to everyone, even the people he should be vulnerable to. Jason is very opinionated and incredibly shallow. He's in crippling credit card debt due to his gambling addiction. His wife is Elena Chapman. She's a Hispanic housewife, and she loves her husband and has big ambitions for him. She has her own fairly successful mommy blog styled Instagram account. She's also an aspiring author and is determined to do whatever it takes to make sure that her books and her husband's career are able to take off in the way that she believes they should. In many ways, she allows herself to fall into problematic stereotypes because that's where she's most comfortable. But it also allows people to underestimate her. Gerald Walters is a Black newscaster and a genuinely nice person, making him an incredible foil for Jason. He's everything Jason pretends to be, but is not. He's a successful journalist for a major, respectable news source, and more importantly, a decent man who picks his stories for how they can better the world. He and Jason remain friends because Gerald continually sees the good in him. Victoria Chapman is an accomplished violinist and tomboy who realizes halfway through the show that they're trans. They enjoy playing sports but are forced into music by their parents where they excel, but they hate it. Alex Chapman is the perfect daughter. She has high parental expectations put on her, and she meets them all well, but it puts a toll on her mental and physical health, which leads easily into resentment. And I know that I'm not Latino or Black or trans, so if this show goes to air, I'll be sure that I have a writer's room that's inclusive of all of those people so that we can effectively represent them. The show opens on a busy morning with a late Jason Chapman ready to go live with his last show at a local news affiliate station. Due to the hustle and bustle, he's unable to take a look at what he'll be reading on the teleprompter. So when it scrolls live and reaches a racist joke, he pauses and cuts to a commercial instead. Later, when mentioning how reading that nonsense would hurt his credibility in a meeting, he's told it was just an intern messing around. Before he leaves, the remaining anchor, Gerald Walters, wishes him well. He returns to his large house and is greeted by his wife, Elena, who's just come home from taking their kids to school. They talk about what their next options could be, and Elena mentions that she has a friend from college who may have a job for Jason. The next day, he goes to talk to the friend, David Adrian, who tells Jason that he'll have to sacrifice a little bit of journalistic integrity. And just before the credits roll on his first segment, the scroll of the teleprompter reaches the same racist joke as before. But this time, Jason sighs and reads it. Here's some places I think that the rest of season 1 could go. Jason has a meeting with Gerald where he tries to ease Jason's mind and convince him that maybe he can bring some journalistic integrity back to this new network. Gerald gets promoted to national news anchor, but Jason is not invited to fill his spot. Jason soon relapses into his gambling addiction, sinking his family further into debt. Elena gets verified on all her social media and becomes recognizable as a more legitimate influencer. Jason realizes that the reason that other hosts are going viral is because they're controversial, so he starts to say one casually upsetting thing per day. Jason becomes more successful and gets invited to closed door meetings where David goes on unhinged, racist tirades. Just as Jason decides to quit after seeing David's intense hatred, he gets a call that Alex is in the emergency room. I want the tone for the show to start as kind of lighthearted, but suddenly whiplash into drama. There should always be a feeling of tension when Jason is at work. The home scene should start out incredibly lighthearted by showing a novel, loving family. But as living conditions gradually become more hostile, we'll be able to feel that discomfort. It's important for Jason to be apprehensive at the start, but grow more and more comfortable in his new role, and further, more and more uncaring and unkind to the people in his life. I want the audience to wonder if they should be celebrating Jason's successes, and then realize that they really shouldn't. In further seasons, we see that Alex has developed diabetes, so Jason can't quit his job because he needs to pay for the medication. Jason meets a jaded industry professional at a bar named Tom Ross, who teaches that you don't necessarily have to believe the things that you say when you're broadcasting. Gerald, Elena, and the kids hold an intervention, seeing Jason's deteriority, but Jason convinces Elena to side with him and shouts the other three down, particularly crushing Alex, who's never the same after it. Jason is canceled, but instead of being actually deplatformed, he uses his cancellation as a tool, finding that he can say almost anything and people will stand by him. Elena gets a book deal, but has to change her writings because of her husband's career. Elena then hires a pool boy and begins an affair after realizing that Jason has become cold and he genuinely doesn't care about her anymore. Victoria finally comes out to their parents, but Jason forces his child back into the closet and breaks Victoria's heart. The series ends with Gerald interviewing the more successful Chapman family. They all smile through it, but ultimately they're all deeply unhappy. Victoria and Alex's spirits are broken. Elena constantly cheats on Jason, and Jason no longer is what he once was. He's a shell of the man that he used to be. They're all trapped together to further Jason's career. And unfortunately, that's where our story ends. Is there any questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a great rest of your day.